All right, so let's talk about speaking of rich.
Yeah, let's get back to those guesses. Let's see who was right in the last 6 months. What
Yeah.
have homeowners gained on average across the country?
So on average across the country in equity, if you bought a home in January, you are $33,400 richer.
In 6 months?
$33,400 richer. What's the average home price across the U.S.?
I forget, 378, something like that.
Let's see. Average home price across the U.S. Ooh, wow. It's 284 in May
No,
2020.
I thought it
No,
was
that's last year. That's last year.
yeah.
Hang on, 20. We need
Which
2021 here.
which
I'm trying
leads
to
to
average home value according to Zillow is 287,000. So that would be way more than the 10 to 13% that people were guessing. 284, 287. I don't know. We'll find Matt, the producer, can do some Googling, maybe find that, or one of the contributors. So we had several guesses at 10%. So at 10%, the average price would have to be around 330,000. So that would be the closest. Somebody said 35%. That's too high. So no one got it, but $33,400. So here's a great little post for you. And Jimmy Mackin talked about it on, was it Monday? That we did maybe it was Tuesday. I can't remember. My days are running together. But Jimmy had a great little conversation with Matt LaMarche in Clubhouse. Matt, I've said Matt so many times today. Somebody tagging. And he basically said, take that stat. The average consumer has made the average consumer has made $33,400 in equity this year. Are you curious to know how much your home gained in value? Or are you curious to know how much you've made or something like that? And then bam, you've got a great little post there that's going to get lots of people talking. So that's a great way to turn this article into something that you can use to generate leads. Let me go back to it. I'm going to kind of give an overview, and Dan, love your comments on it. Those with mortgages, about 62% of all properties saw their equity jump by 20%.
20%.
This represents collective cash gain of $2 trillion. The massive gain, thanks to soaring home prices, which is CoreLogic, was up over 11% in March. That's the sharpest gain since 2006. Prices rose even higher and stronger, 13% in April. What is going on?
I know.
It's all based on, the lack of inventory and the strong buyers with low interest rates, right? I mean, that's the basics of it.
Whoa. Hold on. I did something.
What happened?
I don't have a mouse for my laptop. It's that little pad, and it was just like freaking out for a second. My windows were doing all this. I'm like, whoa.
Sarah Huffman.
Nerd alert.
He said, so if my math is right, 34,000 of 284,000, 11.97%. I don't do math that quickly. So that's 12%, which I think, doesn't that make her the closest?
Well, someone said 12%. I said 11.99. But anyway, just kidding. So the interesting thing to me was they kind of went through how this can actually help anyone that are still in Rona related mortgage bailout programs. So as of June 1st, there were still just over 2 million homeowners in those programs, according to Black Knight. As these plans begin to expire, having home equity will help those in trouble. They can still sell and get out with a potential profit if they have to. So then it goes on to say this reduces the likelihood of a large number of distressed sales, which I think we've been saying on the show, of homeowners to emerge from forbearance later in the year. He added, by the way, that's from Frank Notheft. He's the CoreLogic chief economist. And he added that the average homeowner now has about $216,000 in equity.
Wow.
So not only if you bought January or closed January 1st, yes, you now have $33,000 extra in equity, but the average now is 216. So we're sitting on a lot of equity. Not only is it gained a lot, but we're sitting on a lot of equity. So that's why I keep going back to, it's not going to crash, but it can't, because people can get out of it without the short sales and going to foreclosure and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think all it means is that it seems like the housing market on the seller side is going to be stable for a long time. Like I don't a lot of that changing due to the backup from the builders, which we'll talk about in a second. We also have, I've been reaching out to several investors and asking them to sell off some of the rental properties. And a lot of them are like, no, I'm hanging on to it. And I was like, why are you hanging on to it? And they're like, because the prices I can charge in rent right now are crazy.
Yeah, which we're going to cover. And I have a little note on
I'll
that
get to
one,
that.
but yeah.
Let me go ahead and get to that now then. Rents for single family homes just saw the largest gains in 15 years. This is from CNBC. It says even after the pandy, the ebbs and flows of Americans going back to work and play, they still want more space at home. Both home prices record highs, demands of single family homes soaring. So are the rents. So single family rents were up 5.3% year over year. That's from a 2.4% increase in April 2020, according to CoreLogic. Largest gain in 15 years. Rents for single family detached homes were up an even stronger 7.9%. And
isn't that interesting? We were at the top 15 years ago and rents were up then too.
Yep. And this kind of goes in exactly in line with what my investors are telling me, that as a tenant exits the property, they're going in, putting a little bit of work into it, but not much because material prices are too much. And then they're able to increase the amount that they're charging for rent and instantly fill it. And I'm wondering if some of those are short-term renters or people that are, can't find anything on the market. So they're going into a rental for now until the market opens up and they can find something else. Nearly half of millennials surveyed by CoreLogic, 64% and 64% of baby boomers said they strongly prefer to live in a single standalone home. So detached is what they're looking for, not necessarily multifamily. Single family. This is a quote from Molly Bossel, principal economist at CoreLogic. Single family rent growth showed strong rebound in April 2021, with price tiers back above their pre-pandy rent growth rate. While rent growth slowed last April at the start of the pandy, the rent growth slowed. Yes.
Okay.
Let's process that. Rent growth. So it still grew, but it didn't grow by as much as it was growing. So rent growth slowed in last April at the start of the pandy. The rate of growth this April was running above pandy levels when compared to 2019, shows no signs of diminishing. They have additional stats on there. But Dan, what are you seeing in your market? Are you kind of seeing the same thing from renters? Are there still builders? You mentioned in the past about builders building properties to just fill with renters. Is that still happening, or are they selling them now?
No, it's just they're filling it with renters. That's what they're going towards, just to get someone in them now, because like you said, in your investors, I don't want to say astronomical, but they're able to charge, so imagine that you have someone's in there for 11 months or 12 months and they leave, then you have that month of vacancy. So you do a little bit of work, and I have a friend, he was charging $1,700 a month. And, when you raise the price, technically that should lower, you just want the more legitimate renters to come through, with the better credit scores and the better income and all that stuff. He rented it or upped it by $800 to $2,500 a month. Still hundreds and hundreds of views and tons of inquiries on it. So
is he watching views and inquiries to know if he's overpriced on it or not? Or is he just watching like rental applications?
He's watching every single, yeah.
Interesting.
I'm not going to say who it is, but you know who it is. He's very, very stats and numbers driven. So he's watching every single thing he can. So his decision to go that high was very calculated, but it's paying off for him, So, but yeah, I wanted to add kind of those stats you mentioned, that we don't need to go through on where's this from? Where's this article from?
This one was from CNBC.
So if you want to see everything, yeah. So the lower priced, it's interesting to me. Lower priced went up 3.9% from 3.2, middle up 4.8 from 2.5, higher up 5.1 from 2.3, higher priced up 6.1 from 2.2. So as you go up in the tiers, the more expensive rentals, they went up even more, so they can afford
the percentage
went up, so they can afford to push up those prices even more. So I think that's very interesting.
That is. I think that shows a lot of people exiting the middle price range home. They're selling their home, taking the cash out, and then renting for a little while.
Just renting for a bit, and they're like, I don't care what I pay. I just cashed out on my $216,000 in equity that I didn't have 6 months ago.